Okay, we're still on day one of the picture lab. The first video, the previous video, took us through this setup just to get things running. So as of now, you should be able to right click on Picture Explorer, run the main, and see a pretty picture on the screen of a beach. Okay. We haven't looked at any Java yet. That's page 1 and the top of page 2 are all about the setup of the lab, which we did in the first video. We did ours slightly different. We imported the images and the packet had you copy the images folder. Whatever you think is easier, that's fine. Then on page 2, towards the middle and bottom, is an introduction to two-dimensional arrays. Now, we've already had a unit on two-dimensional arrays, or matrices. Our last 2 weeks of school since holiday break, since winter break, was about two-dimensional arrays or matrices. So we're already okay at this. But some classes around the country do this lab as a way of introducing two-dimensional arrays. And so they have to see how to find the indices of values or positions, like that A is a position 1, 2. And that B over here is at position 2, 6. But you're already pretty good at that. We can skip the bottom and the middle of page 2. Page 3, it says, look at the code in Picture Explorer and make sure the main method is as follows. Well, of course it is, but let's just make sure. Double click it, and it is a gigantic file. Probably the biggest file that we actually use all year. I don't know. I can't think of a bigger one. It's got hundreds of lines of code, and the main method is at the very bottom. And the main is just a couple lines of code. Okay, very bottom is the main. Picture pics equals new picture, and it's getting a string. So a picture object using the picture class, which is in our project somewhere. There it is. There's picture. We're making a picture object equals new picture, and it gets a string. So somewhere in that picture class is a constructor that gets a string. It might be public picture parentheses string n or string file name. Okay, do we dare look for it? Let's see. There's the default constructor. No, we didn't use that one. Here's the one we just used. We just used that constructor right there. Okay, a lot of new stuff in here. We've not used super yet, for example. That's okay. Again, I'm just going above and beyond by looking there anyway. But it does say look at the main. And now it says to execute this Picture Explorer class by clicking on main. And there is our beach scene again. And now it says to poke around this picture. Okay, the top of the output window shows what row and column you're in. So I click in towards the top. That'd be real close to row 0, right? I'm in row, can I get to 0? There's 1, there's 0, so I can do it. If I click towards the left side, I should see column 0, and there it is, column 0. If I want to see how many rows there are, I would go to the very bottom, and I can tweak it with these arrows as well. I can move the cursor down with the arrow as far as it goes, and I can see the rows go from 0 to 479. That's 480 different rows. Columns, let's see what the far right column is. 639, that's as far as it goes. The columns go from 0 to 639. That's 640 columns in this picture, in this matrix, in this two-dimensional array of pixels. Pixels are each like a little cell in a picture. So we just did that. And we talked about everything here on this page. The total number of pixels or cells in this matrix is number of rows times number of columns. And there it is at the bottom of the page. 480 rows times 640 columns gives you about 300,000 cells or pixels. Okay, next page. You'll notice as you click through, the color value is also shown. So if I click maybe a darker blue spot in the sky if possible, I'll see that my blue color is 230, my green is 200, and R means red. So red, green, blue are the components of a pixel's colors, of a pixel's color in each cell. So if I do one that's really super dark, you can see the numbers are really low. Just 5 red, 7 green, 4 blue. If I do one as bright as possible, there's not a big white spot. I'll do the top of this ledge, and the numbers are considerably higher. The more color component there is, the brighter it is. Okay? So anything bright, like the sand or the widest part of the water, is going to have a much higher color component, red, green, blue, than the darker shades, the darker pixels.